Do you ever look at a task and wonder if it's just too much for you? Do you sometimes doubt whether you have the strength to face the obstacles in front of you? Welcome back to 1111 Ways. To all of you who open your screen today, thank you for sharing this moment with me. To those who have already subscribed to our channel, your support means the world to me. And if you're new here, I'd love for you to join our growing community as we explore the signs, the lessons, and the power within us all. In this episode, we'll discover how obstacles, no matter how big they seem, can be overcome, and how your true strength is greater than you've ever imagined. You just have to see the signs and believe you can. Welcome back to 1111 Ways. We often lower the bar of what we can do or solve. The easy way is to give up and to think the solution is just around the corner. You just have to try a little harder. Well, this story is about that, just that. After that amazing visit to the Vatican that I presented you on the episode number 2, we created and started El Telecorazón por la Vida, a telethon that could unite a nation. And you can imagine how hard that was, because we were trying to unite everyone into one voice and to help and to construct a project together. This was called the Telecorazón por la Vida, and the images you're seeing now reflect the huge event we were able to put together. What we did is we united the major networks of the country for 27 hours. Saturday afternoon till Sunday afternoon. And that during those hours, we had music, artists, volunteers, everyone together in only one voice. We united a country in an incredible way, and we raised the funds needed so the construction can begin for La Colmena de la Vida, the Beehive of Life. That's how we called it. Inspired in how those little bees work all together into one single cause. And that's what we started. Once we did the event, we were able to raise the funds and we started the building. The building was something really magic. We were able to unite 5 different companies because we had to build this mini city for children in just 9 months so that we could show the country that we were able to do it all together. So we started the building process, and you can see the images of the building. But however, an obstacle was about to happen. And that's when one day, out of the blue, the National Guard came into the construction site and said, "You have to stop." And we said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you're violating some environmental laws." We stopped and we hired environmental specialist to find out what was wrong. And we were not violating anything, but the government wouldn't let us continue. So these were weeks that we were very worried because everything had to stop. So we kept going to the office of the environment specialist, and they kept saying, "Nope, you can't continue." And we kept going and kept sending papers. We did a big report with all the specialists where everything was okay. Until one week, the chief of engineer told me, if you don't do something, or if you're not able to continue, you're not going to be ready for when you're supposed to reveal to the country next year this magical place we built for children in the streets that needed help. So I said, okay, let's call for a press conference. And we'll go one last time to this office of this person, of the Ministry or Secretary of Environment that has to approve it. And we called for the press conference, but the day before we went one last time to see if we can get a chance. The person who was in charge didn't show up. But in the hallways, I was able to talk to engineers, which told me Everything is all right. They just don't want to sign it. And this is when sometimes politics mixes with good causes, and sometimes you get obstacles because you're not in the objective of certain politicians. However, we said we have to continue. And the engineers told me, but he's not signing it. So the engineer that was with me, who was in charge of the construction, was telling me, without the paper, I can't continue. But right then, before we left that place, the day before the press conference, I received a call. And he was Monsignor Bermudez, that I really liked always his help and his advice in the moments that we needed. And he told me, I know you're very stressed. You have a press conference tomorrow, but I'm calling you to give you some good news. And God is with you. And I said, thank you, Monsignor. I know. And he said, no, but you have a very special meeting next week. So get your bags ready, because Pope John Paul II is going to see you in Rome. Of course, my legs start shaking. I was so excited. I closed the phone. I told the engineer that was with me, let's go. Everything is solved. And he was looking at me like, who called him? Someone from the government? Do we have the permit to continue? So we went to the car, and in the way back to our places, he asked me, so what happened? And I said to him, do you believe in signs? He looked at me. He's an engineer, so he's very practical. And I said, do you believe in signs? I just got a call, and I explained who called me, and I am going to meet the Pope that I have admired so much in my life next week in Rome, Pope John Paul II. So for me, this is solved. He didn't say a word. I think he was amazed, because he was like thinking, I still don't have the paper. I can't move the tractors. I can't do anything. But we didn't talk about it anymore. So I dropped him in his place. I went to my place. And that night, I was convinced this was solved. What a bigger sign can I get? What bigger one? So while I was getting ready to go to bed, I received a call. And this was the second person after the Secretary of Environment that was calling me. And he said, I know you have a press conference tomorrow, and you're doing something really good, and I'm very sorry for what happened. And tomorrow at 8 a.m., your papers will be signed. So I said, thank you. I wasn't going to talk back about anyone. I was just going to ask for help. And he said, thank you. And that was it. So I called the engineer in the morning. He picked up the papers. I did the press conference. I said things were solved, and we were carry on to do our thing. And till today, a lot of people said, but who gave the order? And I said, someone that's more powerful than everyone else. And I got that solution. And I went the next week to Rome. In that trip, I was accompanied by my father that was so excited because of this moment that we were going to live, my brother and his wife. And we had some wonderful traveling arrangements. We went to Rome. And well, the day came when I was going to meet the Pope. Pope John Paul II, born Karol Joseph Wojtyła in 1920 in Poland, had a very difficult youth, marked by loss and hardship. His mother died when he was only 9 years old. His brother Edmund, a doctor, died when Karol was just 12. And his father passed away when he was 21. Leaving him with no immediate family at a young age. During World War II, his country was invaded and occupied by Nazi Germany. He worked in a quarry and later in a chemical factory to avoid deportation to forced labor camps, all while he was secretly studying for the priesthood in an underground seminary. He also risked his life taking part in a secret theater group that sought to preserve Polish culture, which was being suppressed under the occupation. These struggles, losing his family under war and living under both Nazi and later communist rule, shaped his deep spirituality, resilience, and empathy for human suffering, which would define his papacy years later. He never gave up, even when it seems impossible to continue. So the moment came and I was called to enter the meeting with the Pope. He was then a little bit ill. This was a year before he passed away. And he came in, he smiled, I smiled too, and I said, bless me, Holy Father. And we met for about 5 minutes. I showed him some pictures that you can see in this picture that I'm showing. And I told him about his visit to Venezuela and how much I admire him and loved him because of what he was doing, because of the great man he was and the amazing Pope. So there was a moment when I was so excited that I grabbed his hand and kissed the ring. And I said, I thank God for the Pope he gave us. And he answered, I want to give you a blessing, and you communicate this blessing to the whole country. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I said, Holy Father, I will do this for the children. And he smiled and he said, as long as you're helping children, I will be there. So for me, this 5 or 6 minutes were the best big gift I could get in life. I was so excited, so blessed to have that opportunity. And then I was clearly taught that no matter how the obstacle and big obstacles you can have, there is always a solution if you just ask for it and if you just believe it can happen. Pope John Paul II constantly urged people to believe in Jesus Christ.
Life is more powerful than the forces of death.
The source of hope, love, and the answer to humanity's deepest questions. His message, encapsulated in his famous exhortation, "Be not afraid, open indeed, open wide the doors to Christ," was a call to abandon fear and welcome faith. So in my life, I have learned that you can go far, far, far farther than you think, and that solutions usually are around the corner. We just have to believe. We just have to be strong enough to carry on until we commit to our goals in life. And our destiny shapes in that way. We just have to walk the path. You know, lately there's been a surge in people posting about micro moments, the small surprises or synchronicities in our daily life, like bumping into someone you need to talk to, or a song on the radio that says exactly what your heart needs to know, or an expected message from a friend you haven't heard in a long time. It's become almost a viral concept, your sign for the day. These little occurrences are reminders that life speaks to us, often in soft whispers. And that's exactly what I mean by signs. Even in everyday life, events are shaping us behind the scenes, guiding us forward, if we're open to noticing them. So I invite you today to look around, to think, to meditate, to understand that you have a calling like I did. Everyone does. We have to just keep the positive attitude in this world because it's needed very much, and we can conquer amazing things. Thanks again for being here. Don't forget to subscribe and help me grow, because this message has to carry on and just keep spreading around. And I'll see you next week. It's fall time. The leaves are starting to fall and color, and it's a beautiful time in the year where I am. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.